Down under, India tasted sweet victory not once but twice in all three sporting encounters that featured Indians today. First, it was the women's T20 team recording a 10-wicket win against the powerful Australian side in their second encounter of the three-match series. Then came the Santina couple of Sania Mirza and Martina Hingis, who remained unbeaten with 36 matches in a row to claim their third Grand Slam title. And finally, Mahendra Singh Dhoni's men salvaging pride to trash the Australians by 27 runs.
The likes of Bumrah, Ashish Nehra coming back into the side. The spinners have performed admirably.
Good evening. You're watching the news at 6 with me, Ishan Russell, and these are the headlines that we're tracking right now. Reprieve for Oommen Chandy. Kerala High Court puts on hold lower court's order to file case against him in the solar panel scam case. Beating the retreat held with traditional military splendor and glitter in New Delhi, Delhi Police Band marks its return after 67 years. And a day of sporting delight for India as in Australia as Santina pair of Sania Mirza and Martina Hingis win the finals of their third Grand Slam title at the Australian Open. Team India trash hosts Australia. Women's cricket team scripts cricketing history to go ahead in 2-0 and in the series, and Dhoni's men also win by 27 runs in Melbourne.
Knowing that his team has left.
Top story this evening, the Kerala High Court today stayed filing of FIR against Chief Minister Oommen Chandy in the solar scam case for 2 months. Chandy had moved the High Court against a Thrissur Vigilance Court order which allowed an FIR to be filed against him in the scam. In its ruling, the High Court said that the Vigilance Court had acted mechanically without knowing the nature and extent of its powers. And we'll get to that report very shortly, but let's go across to our correspondent Vishal Deya, who has an update on this story. Vishal, as far as Oommen Chandy's tenureship as Chief Minister goes, is the party backing him for now?
Well, yes, the party is definitely backing him, and that was something which was made clear yesterday itself by the party's national spokesperson, Randeep Surjewala. All those leaders who have been making statements from the Congress party yesterday have been at least clarifying one thing, that the party is standing strongly behind Oommen Chandy. But apart from the party support, the Kerala Chief Minister seems to have got a major breather today when the High Court ruled out, that the decision which was taken by the Vigilance Court of asking an FIR to be filed against him was something which could have been avoided, was taken in haste technically. So effectively, the Chief Minister now has some sort of breather and has some elbow room to go ahead and face that onslaught from the opposition, specifically from the left-led LDF and the BJP as well. Today also we saw the students wing of both the BJP as well as the left parties staged demonstrations in front of the Chief Minister's office in Kerala out there. But then given the order which is coming from the High Court and the kind of strong backing which Mr. Chandy has got from the Central High Command of the party out here in Delhi, it seems that he is going to stay put now and would rather try and change his strategy and weather out this political storm which has hit his ministry.
All right, Vishal, we'll leave it over there. Thanks so much for joining us for now. And we'll, in fact, play out that report for you. It's summing up what's been happening through the day in Kerala.
Major relief for Kerala Chief Minister Oommen Chandy. The State High Court has put on hold the order of the Vigilance Court to register an FIR against him and his cabinet colleague in the solar scam case. There can be no police case against Oommen Chandy for at least 2 months following the High Court's intervention. A relieved Chandy called it a victory of truth.
നിയമത്തെ മാനിക്കുന്നത് അത് ഏറ്റവും വലിയ ഒരു മാന്യത ആയിട്ടാണ് ഞാൻ കാണുന്നത്. ഞാൻ അവർ നേരിട്ട് പറയുന്നതാണെന്ന് പോലും പലർക്കും വിശ്വാസമില്ല. കാരണം ഇതുവരെ പറയാത്ത 3 കൊല്ലം ആകുക.
Leaders of the Congress were also quick to welcome the High Court reprieve for Oommen Chandy.
It is a nexus, unholy nexus, between CPM and the liquor lobby. Everybody knows the liquor lobby in Kerala is very, very powerful because they are handling crores and crores of rupees. UDF has taken a decision that we will not encourage the liquor lobby. Now elections are coming. And liquor lobby knows that if we are winning, then they will have no chance of again going into the liquor business. So liquor lobby, with the connivance of the CPM, and then people like Sarida started attacking the government.
We have complete faith in the majesty of the judicial process, and Congress party will continue to abide by whatever the court will finally decide.
Sarita Nair, the second accused in the solar scam case, expressed displeasure over the High Court decision as she levelled fresh allegations against Oommen Chandy.
നമുക്ക് ഇത്രയും കാലം നമ്മൾ ഒതുക്കി വെച്ചതെല്ലാം ഓരോ പടിക്ക് ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞു വരുവാണ്. അപ്പം നടന്ന കാര്യങ്ങൾ പിന്നെ സിഎമ്മിന്റെ വാദഗതികളുണ്ടല്ലോ, അത് എൻ്റെ ഭാഗത്തുണ്ടായ ശരിക്കുമുള്ള കാര്യം വാസ്തവം എന്താണ് അത് ഞാനിന്ന് പറയും. 2 വർഷത്തോളം കസ്റ്റഡിയിൽ കഴിഞ്ഞിരുന്ന ഒരു വ്യക്തിയാണ്. അപ്പോൾ അതിൻ്റെതായ രീതിയിൽ എനിക്ക് അവൈലബിൾ ആയിട്ടുള്ള എന്തൊക്കെയുണ്ടോ അതെല്ലാം ഞാൻ കൊണ്ടുവരും.
There was also no let-up in the political storm engulfing the Kerala Chief Minister. Protests demanding his ouster continued on Friday. Members of the Democratic Youth Federation of India and the BJP's youth wing demonstrated outside the state secretariat demanding Chandy's resignation. As the protests turned violent, the police resorted to using tear gas to disperse the crowd. Clamour for Chandy's resignation grew in the national political circle as well.
Mr. Oommen Chandy must step down and he cannot remain in office. He has no moral right to continue to be the Chief Minister. UDF stands thoroughly exposed as far as corruption is concerned. The position of the left parties has been vindicated.
It is absolutely shocking when God's own state, Kerala, is reeling under corruption, one corruption to another corruption, from bar bribery to solar bribery. We are seeing that a shameless Congress is trying to look the other way.
The BJP also attacked the Congress top brass over the solar scam, alleging that Sonia and Rahul Gandhi were protecting Oommen Chandy as they lacked the moral authority to act against him, since they too were facing graft charges in the National Herald case. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, after a bitter defeat in Delhi and Bihar, the BJP appears hopeful about the assembly elections in Assam. The party wants to avoid confusion and is trying to form a clear strategy before the elections. For this very reason, the BJP has declared Sarbananda Sonowal as its chief ministerial candidate well before time. In Delhi, the party had declared Kiran Bedi as its chief ministerial candidate at the last moment, and Bihar, it could not project any credible leadership. The BJP Parliamentary Board took the decision at its meeting in New Delhi on Thursday. Sonowal thanked Prime Minister Modi and Amit Shah for the responsibility given to him.
सबको साथ लेकर हम असम की जनता की आशीर्वाद मांगेंगे, समर्थन मांगेंगे और हमारा पूरा विश्वास है कि सुशासन और डेवलपमेंट के सिलसिले में जनता अगली चुनाव में भारतीय जनता पार्टी को निश्चित रूप से सत्ता में लाएंगे.
And for more on the story, let's go across to our correspondent Sham Sundar. Sham, Sarbananda Sonowal, let's first talk about how big a figure is he in Assam politics? Is he a fresh face for the BJP over there, or is he a renowned figure?
Well, as far as Sarbananda Sonowal is concerned, he is a minister in the centre. He started his career with Assam Gan Parishad. He was prominent leader of Assam Gan Parishad, and in 2012 and 2014 also he was BJP's state president there. So he is a very well-known figure. He comes from a tribe which is known as T tribe from the lower hill areas of the state. And in 2014, we have to remember that BJP got 7 seats out of 14 seats, and role of Sarbanand Sonowal was very important for the BJP, apart from Narendra Modi wave in those Lok Sabha elections. So figure-wise, he's quite senior, very well known, and big leader in the Assam. But we have to keep in the mind, though he's a very well-known leader, but he comes from a tribe, and BJP's traditional base in Assam is in Bengali-speaking people. So now BJP has to make a balance between its traditional vote bank and the vote bank BJP is trying to get through Sarbanand Sonowal.
All right, interesting problem there for the BJP, a conundrum, if I may say so, as to balance both the image of the chief minister that they want to project, as well as their own core voter base. So as far as the BJP strategy goes, because there was last time around in the Assam Assembly elections, there was also a tacit understanding, many analysts had pointed out to, with the AUDF over there, and that polarization the BJP hoped to capitalize on. Does that exist this time around as well?
Well, but as far as alliance or some kind of tacit understanding in assembly elections are concerned, BJP is in talks with Assam Gan Parishad, and sources are telling us that these talks are on the last stage. But before announcing these talks and the conclusion of these talks, BJP leadership wants to make sure that, like Bihar experience, after announcing the seat sharing or announcing the alliance, there should not be dissatisfaction or the voice of dissent from its allies in Assam, and that's why they want to seal this alliance before making it public. So and Sarbanand Sonowal, he is authorized there because he is chief of election managing committee also, apart from being a chief minister candidate and BJP state president. So he is the man who will be taking calls in consultation with Mr. Amit Shah and Prime Minister Narendra Modi himself, because Prime Minister Narendra Modi on 19th of January this month only, he held 2 rallies in Assam, and he started election campaign formally. And apart from Assam Gan Parishad, there are other local parties also with which BJP is talking with. But as far as ADF is concerned, in these elections, it is not very clear that whether they will go with Congress, or there will be some kind of understanding with Congress, or there can be some kind of understanding with BJP.
All right, Shyam, the situation will certainly clear itself, and Shyam will be tracking that for us. Thanks so much for joining us for now. Time now to take a look at what else has made news around the country and nationwide. The Supreme Court today asked the centre to set up an expert committee to look into the grievances pertaining to service conditions of nurses employed with private hospitals and private nursing homes across the country. The government has been given 4 weeks for this. A 3-judge bench also asked the centre to consider a law based on the recommendations which would be given to it by the expert committee on the issue. A sessions court in Kolkata held 6 out of 8 guilty in the gang rape and murder of a 20-year-old girl in 2013. 2 of the accused were let off due to lack of evidence. The victim was gang raped and brutally murdered while returning home from college in West Bengal's North 24 Parganas district. The quantum of punishment is likely to be announced on Saturday. More than 200 MCD workers today gathered outside the residence of Delhi's Transport Minister Gopal Rai and dumped garbage there to protest against non-payment of their salaries. The sanitation workers began their protest on Wednesday and have threatened to intensify their agitation if their dues were not immediately paid. Garbage has been littered across streets, posing serious health hazards in the national capital. A nearly 40-foot whale drew large crowds on Mumbai's popular Juhu beach on Friday until it was removed with the help of a crane. The 20-ton dead bride whale washed up on Thursday night. The Mumbai Mangrove Conservation Unit believe that the whale had died around 2-3 days ago, and a post-mortem will ascertain the cause of death. Time for us to take a short break. Lots more on the other side. Do stay tuned.
JNU has a political, different kind of people have different opinions. But I think media is not looking at the academic activism which I called in JNU. Which is much, much stronger than what is reflected in the media.
Watch Eureka with Professor S.K. Soburi, former Vice Chancellor, JNU, on Rajya Sabha TV.
Art arisen from a multi-hued cultural canvas. Tradition and cultural fervour dating back centuries. And encircling them all, there's a magic that awes. Embrace your nation's brilliant human warmth. Watch Colours of India, Sundays at 9:30 p.m. on Rajya Sabha Television.
Hello, I am Ishan Russell.
I'm Tracy Shilchi and you're watching News Tonight.
Together with the team of our
dedicated professionals from across various fields.
This is Shyam Sundar,
Vishal Dahiya,
Akhilesh Suman,
Frank Pereira from Beijing, China.
Kriti Mishra for Rajya Sabha Television.
We bring to you
the news that matters here on Rajya Sabha TV.
The sacred relics of Buddha were unearthed in Piprava in Uttar Pradesh. Buddhist monks from all over the world visit the National Museum to pay their respects. These charred bone fragments of Buddha are housed in the gold canopy gifted by the royal family of Thailand.
Welcome back. You're watching the news at 6. And now some of the latest news from the Australian Opening. And continuing their stupendous run, women's world #1 doubles pair Sania Mirza and Martina Hingis overcame the Czech pair of Andrea and Lucy in straight sets to win their first Australian Open at the Rod Laver Arena on Friday. The pair are also the reigning Wimbledon and US Open champions.
It took just under 2 hours for the Santina Brigade to wrap up their third women's doubles Grand Slam title. The world #1 pair of Sania Mirza and Martina Hingis beat 7 seeds Slakova and Radeka 7-6, 6-3.
Sania, without you I wouldn't be here today and standing on this court again. So thank you. Hopefully, once again, we try to defend our title hopefully next year. Thank you very much.
First of all, I'd like to thank everyone for being out here, supporting us. It was a great atmosphere to play in front of you guys. It was the second time here this week, and we had a lot of fun. And, for me, Australian Open has been very special. I've had a lot of great memories here, and it's as close to home as it gets for me. So it's an Australasian Grand Slam, and I always look forward to coming here every year. So thanks, guys, and thanks, Craig.
The Czechs, however, didn't give up without a fight in the opening set. Both pairs were broken 4 times each in the first set before Mirza sealed it in the tie-break after 62 minutes.
Andy and Lucy, I've actually lost one final against you guys at Roland Garros, so we always knew how good you are, and congratulations on a great 2 weeks, and I'm sure we'll have a lot more great finals against each other.
Martina was equally effusive in her praise for the Czechs.
You won 2 Grand Slams, so you pushed us to the limits today. Definitely one of the best first sets. I know the guys probably will be saying, it's break, 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 but we have the best returns in women's doubles or in the game.
Sania and Martina now have an unbeaten run of 36 matches, winning 8 titles on the trot. The pair have won 12 titles ever since they came together in the BNP Paribas Open last spring. Sania, however, was unlucky in her mixed doubles semi-final match later in the evening. Top seed Sania and her Croatian partner Ivan Dodic lost the match 7-5, 7-6 to 5th seeds Elena Vesnina and Bruno Suarez. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And it was double delight for India as Team India beat Australia by 27 runs in the second T20 to take an unassailable 2-0 lead in their 3-match series at Melbourne today. India scored 184 for 3 with the help of half-centuries from Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli. In reply, Australia got off to an explosive start with Aaron Finch firing on all cylinders. He scored 74 of just 48 but failed to get support from the other batsmen. The Indian bowlers, despite initial setbacks and bad fielding, kept the Australian batsmen under check. Young Jasprit Bumrah once again impressed with the ball, picking up 2 wickets. Ravindra Jadeja and Ravichandran Ashwin chipped in to pile the misery on for the Australians.
This match now, isn't it? It's party time, India. What a performance here from India. MS Dhoni can leave Australian shores knowing that his team has left. This match now, isn't it?
Earlier, all eyes were on the Indian Eves, who created history at the MCG. With a 10-wicket win, they sealed their first bilateral series victory over the Australian women in any format. In a rain-affected contest, the Australians reached 8 for 125 from 18 overs but failed to take a wicket during the chase, and India reached their revised target of 66 with 5 balls to spare. Some other news from around the world now, and with the Zika scare spreading across the world, India today decided to constitute a technical group to monitor the situation. The move comes just a day after the WHO predicted 4 million Zika cases this year. The Indian Medical Association has also issued an advisory asking pregnant women to avoid visiting Latin America. The virus is suspected to cause birth defects in newborn babies. With no cure and no vaccine for the virus so far, WHO has convened an emergency meeting Monday to discuss the virus's spread and its ramification. Here's a report.
Microcephaly, a rare neurological disorder with long-term physical and mental repercussions. It is the biggest global nightmare, being spread by Aedes mosquito that carries the Zika virus. 80% of those infected don't even feel sick. But the major worry is about pregnant women and babies.
Vão fazer esses exames e vão ter a certeza que não existe a microcefalia. E se tiver, eu vou fazer o quê? Como eu repito mais uma vez, vou amar minha filhinha do mesmo jeito, mas é muito preocupante.
WHO is deeply concerned about this rapidly evolving situation for 4 main reasons. First, the possible association of infection with birth malformations and neurological syndromes. Second, the potential for further international spread given the wide geographical distribution of the mosquito vector.
The WHO says the Zika virus is spreading extensively in Americas, with 3 to 4 million infections estimated over a 12-month period. Venezuela has announced at least 4,500 suspected cases. In Brazil, President Dilma Rousseff called for international cooperation to combat the virus. Concerns are high since it will host the Olympic Games in capital Rio de Janeiro this year. In Honduras, the health ministry launched a campaign to alert people. They also initiated fumigation to kill mosquitoes. Meanwhile, in Chile, health officials delivered repellents and handed out flyers to travelers at Santiago. In the US, White House expressed concern about its potential impact on pregnant women. The US has confirmed at least 12 cases.
Today, cases have been reported in 23 countries and territories in the region. The level of alarm is extremely high.
O governo federal está garantindo todos os recursos, equipamentos e pessoal necessários para a prevenção e eliminação dos focos do mosquito. Precisamos da participação da sociedade nessa batalha que deve ser continuada e que será de médio prazo.
According to WHO, India could also be at risk. The centre decided to constitute a technical group to monitor the situation.
कि एक हाई लेवल की टेक्निकल कमेटी बने, जिस टेक्निकल कमेटी में हमें सजेशंस और हमारे को रियल टाइम एक्शन क्या लेना है इसके बारे में जानकारी तुरंत हमको दी जाए। और इसकी बैठक आज शुरू भी हो गई है। होंगे इसमें WHO के प्रतिनिधि होंगे, इसमें टेक्निकल एक्सपर्ट ग्रुप हैं उनके प्रतिनिधि होंगे, इसमें नेशनल इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ वायरोलॉजी है उसके भी प्रतिनिधि होंगे।
The infection is caused by a mosquito bite. Common symptoms of the Zika disease are fever, rash, joint pain or conjunctivitis. Symptoms typically start 2 to 7 days after the mosquito bite. Zika was first detected in Uganda in 1947, but an outbreak of this scale was never reported. It has no vaccine at the moment, but the US says it hopes to start human vaccine trials by the end of 2016. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
The United Nations mediated peace talks for war in Syria are underway in Geneva. The talks aim to bring a peaceful resolution to the 5-year-old conflict that has caused widespread destruction. Although the main Syrian opposition has decided to skip the meet, almost derailing the first attempt in 2 years to find peace, Syrians on the ground are hopeful that peace will return to their homeland.
It was March 2011 when the pro-democracy uprising in Syria turned violent. Since then, more than 250,000 Syrians have lost their lives in close to 5 years of armed conflict. More than 4.5 million people have fled the country, and a further 6.5 million people are internally displaced. With a new round of peace talks in Geneva, there are renewed hopes that peace and harmony will return to the war-ravaged country.
Enough buildings being destroyed, enough bombing my city where I am, and I don't know who is bombing me. I just see bombs coming down, rockets, anything. Enough my brother, my sister being humiliated and becoming a refugee and trying to take a boat and drawing in the Mediterranean when I love my country. Enough when you see your children say, I want to go to school and I cannot go to school because you are not allowing me to do because it's too dangerous.
The talks, however, took a blow with the main opposition backing out of the talks, seriously weakening the efforts to reach a negotiated solution. The Saudi-backed opposition says the attacks on civilian areas must stop before any negotiation can take place, even as a Russia-backed opposition group readies to take part in the talks.
برأيي أن الحكومة السورية ستتمسك بأولوية القضاء على المجموعات الإرهابية وكافة المجموعات التي ترتبط بأجندة لها علاقة بالقاعدة أو التنظيم داعش. يعني هي ليست من صميم المعارضة الداخلية.
Syrians are keeping a close watch on the peace talks, hoping to see a possible agreement between the Syrian government and the opposition.
إن شاء الله نحن كشعب سوري يعني بظل هي الأزمة متفائلين إنه المعارضة والحكومة تتوصل بالنهاية لحل يعني سلمي.
هلا إذا وافقوا الكل في عندنا كثير شغلات حلوة بتصير، مثلا وقف إطلاق النار، يعني هي شغلة كثير كويسة، مثلا فك الحصار.
The United States and Russia are the biggest promoters of these round of talks. Both nations want the fighting to end, even though there are on opposing sides of the politics behind the Syrian conflict. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, that's it from us. Goodbye.